about this project. I understand this is one of the biggest developments that you all have done. But before we get into that of our project, tell us a little bit about yourself and Dacar Management, please.
Well, Dacar has been was created in 1999, and it started off just doing retail strip centers that we owned. The owners came, and about 20 years ago, one of the owners, the grandson, came and decided that we needed to grow. So we bought more shopping centers, land, and he pretty much wants to develop all of Hialeah, and we've bought probably like 5 or 6 tracts of land, different shopping centers down there. And we had never done residential before, and we thought we would get into the market because we want to do a mixed use of residential and apartments and some strip centers for like Publix and like other restaurants and things. So we decided to do this project, and it was before it was actually, this land was actually agricultural. Well, they had horses and cows, and the ASPCA brought animals like livestock and whatever stray animals onto the property, and we worked with them on that. And actually the horse people were very saddened that we were going to be developing, because then they had no place to ride. But you know, the future is developing and bringing in more retail and availability down in Hialeah, so we decided to venture into that. Definitely doing apartments is definitely different and a different wheelhouse for us. But, you know, during the development process, we decided that we were going to get a loan to do it because it was a very large project. And like I said, we've been in business for quite a while, and I started out, I'm the manager, the office manager, and I have various roles. In fact, I'm responsible for the ag classifications, and that's how I started off in this project. No, we have like development, maintenance, leasing. We're a very small office, but we do quite a lot for such a small office. And so when the project came along for this, in regards to, I also do the insurance for all the properties. And every year we have to do the property, the liability, the flood, etc. Certain criteria require us to have flood insurance. Like, let's say if there's a loan and they require it, sometimes leases or certain tenants require you to have flood. So we usually have to, you know, put that into place. But for this project that we had, the loan required that we have flood insurance. We were thinking that, you know, possibly there was a way in an avenue that we could take to remove that flood exception off of the property, because of all the grading that we had done on the property and the excavation of the land, and we raised up the levels. So I think it was my boss who actually knew somebody who had worked with the flood experts in the past and gave us a referral, and I got in touch with AJ at your office and kind of explained the situation, and he provided me with a list of all the documentation that I had to provide. And I mean, it was a process. It took a while because, you know, working with the government and all that stuff and trying to make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, we went through the process, and pretty much was able to just recently get the LOMA letter that we needed and sent it over to the bank, and was able to release our requirement to have flood insurance, which makes a big difference because, you know, that's another insurance you don't have to have and pay for. So it's really beneficial, especially in Florida, considering it's mostly, you know, was built mostly with water, and, you know, flooding is an issue we have here, depending on certain neighborhoods. Older neighborhoods have problems with floods. Certain neighborhoods were built up based on that factor. But like I said, you know, it's something that is very important in Florida, since it's basically built on water and wetlands. But working with AJ and the flood experts was a very, you know, it was a very rewarding experience. And like I said, AJ was very easy to work with. And like I said, it took a little bit of a while, and we had to get like certain surveys and documentation that they required, which, you know, I mean, it was well worth it. Whatever effort we had to put in, the end result was well worth the effort. And like I said, I don't think people realize that it is a possibility to be able to work with trying to, you know, remove the flood from your property, or whatever enhancements that you have to do or would have to do to accomplish that. I mean, not every property, whether it's like an older property, maybe a shopping center that we may have, we may be able to do that because it's already predetermined that it's in that area. And if the infrastructure hasn't changed, it's kind of hard to recreate something that's already exists. But there's a couple other properties that we have that I want to talk to AJ about in regards to working with that, because they are requirements that are required, but it's been a while since they've been, I mean, they've never been mapped out, and whatever the FEMA map shows, it shows that it is in a flood zone. But I don't know if that changes or not, but I'm willing to take the effort to see what we can do to possibly change the whatever the zone is, or maybe possibly remove that requirement. But like I said, it was good to find a company that actually had the knowledge and was willing to help us out with this situation we had with the flood insurance. And like I said, it worked to our benefit, definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot of areas of the country where you wouldn't think it's possible, even on older properties. So, that's why we always say, like, it's always worth having our team take a look, right? The review's no cost. So, worst case, there's no worst case, nothing changes,
right?
But this project is very interesting, being mixed use. It's a little, different property than we see most commonly, so in terms of the impact in removing the flood insurance requirement, talk to me about what type of impact that has on your tenants, because I would guess this is a little more of like a triple net scenario for some of the tenants, right?
Yes, we have like a strip center where we have like a triple net, then we also have out parcels. And those out parcels are ground leases wherein they build the structures themselves and they're responsible to maintain their own area. And then you have the surrounding parking lot area that's all inclusive. And then we have some retention pond lake areas there. And of course, then you have the apartment buildings in the back. And having a property that's not in a flood zone is very reassuring, especially when you have lots of rain and hurricanes, which we get a lot of here for sure. Right. But it definitely is a more of a comfort zone for them, knowing that they're not in a flood zone. Because like I said, we have seen, even with the last hurricane we got over in Fort Myers, what flooding can do, even when it's not expected or you think that you're ever going to have an issue with that. Certain people who don't even think that they're in a flood zone, and then something happens, and then all of a sudden there's so much rain, it just accumulates and becomes a situation. But like I said, it's good to know that it is possible to, like I said, when we did this project, I'm not sure if the intention when we did, change the elevation of the property was for the intention of that, but that's how it worked out in our favor. But like I said, it's nice to know, like I said, in Florida, especially when it's difficult because of the sand and the water and the levels and everything, to try to make a property and build it with the intentions of taking it out of a flood zone and making it safer, not only for the residents, but the people that go there in the parking lot. There's nothing worse than trying to drive through a parking lot after a storm and it's all flooded. You can't get to Publix and buy your groceries. I mean, there's things that, because there's certain areas that I in the past have seen flooded that I never imagined would have been in an area that would. But sometimes it rains to the point where you get, one time we had an incident down here in Dania. It rained 36 inches in a matter of 9 hours. It was crazy. The airport literally shut down because it was flooded. So, like I said, the potential is there, and, it's always nice to know that you can possibly do something to prevent whatever the future may bring. So.
Well, let me ask you this too. What would you estimate the annual insurance savings were for that, mixed use property, not having that requirement any longer?
I'm not sure exactly how much it would be for that size project. I know that we have smaller ones that it's about $4,000 or $5,000 for the annual, but for this project, it probably would have been in, the tens of thousands, 10, 20, 30, $40,000. It probably would have cost us, or maybe more, depending on the size of the project. But like I said, to have that diminished to nothing is nice, I mean, as it is, insurance itself is pretty astronomical right now. To add flood on top of that is something inexpensive you can avoid. You should, Well,
what advice would you have for other, investor companies or developers even in the same situation?
Well, I mean, if they're thinking of developing in Florida, especially South Florida, and they're, let's say they buy a piece of land or whatever, go in with the anticipation of trying to increase the elevation to avoid that situation, and to do the research through someone like flood experts, and to see if there's a way that maybe even they could provide you with knowledge of what you can do to prevent that in the future, and to work with them directly in regards to making it sure that you don't end up in a flood zone situation, like even in the middle. I mean, I don't know if they work in the beginning of projects and coordinate with other developers in regards to that. I'm not sure if they have that at Flood Experts, but I know that it definitely, if we had realized it in even the beginning, we probably would have done that. But then we were fortunate that it worked out for us that way.
Yeah, the earlier in the process that we're introduced, into the conversation, then, definitely the more that we can help,
Yes.
at least point out some opportunities or point out what might be possible.
Right.
Exactly. Well, this has been fantastic. This is like just gold information for other clients in similar cases. So thank you, Ava, for taking all the time today.
No problem. No
Greatly
problem.
appreciate it.